Whether it's intentional or not, Minecraft has always had an eerie feel to the game. That feeling when you're playing Minecraft all alone, in the dark, and you kind of have a sense of someone's watching you. Today, oh boy, that feeling is gonna get turned up all the way to the max. Welcome to a world consumed by silence. An entity has cursed this world, known only as the Silence. Now, the Silence is an entity that lurks in the darkness. And yeah, he's not alone. In this world of silence, we're also joined by Herobrine, the Cave Dwellers, and many, many more scary foes. So guys, buckle up for this one, because for the next 100 days of hardcore Minecraft, I'm gonna be immersed into the silence. Wish me luck, boys, and enjoy my screams and relentless panicking. So before I had actually even made the world, I was met with a warning, letting me know that there's gonna be a few strange things happening. I then took my first steps in the world, and that's when I noticed that I had a cassette labeled Safety Instructions. So the first thing I did was just play it.
Welcome to the Minecraft Player Protection Program. Our purpose is to provide you with the foundations to survive. To survive, we will need to pay attention to sounds. They can imitate them. Don't trust your environment. You may hear voices or laughter, depending on the type of entity it is. Be very careful when sleeping or opening doors. They like sounds. It is better not to draw their attention so much. They may even appear in your dreams trying to kill you. Oh, and another thing, I would recommend not going through forests or snow much. See you later. Good luck.
It's safe to say that after watching this VHS tape, I didn't want a single second to go to waste. It was now a race against time, because tonight, especially in this world, I needed shelter more than ever. So I started by chopping down trees, upgrading to stone tools so I could chop down more trees. But as I was walking around, I had a feeling that something wasn't right, almost as if someone or something was watching me. But despite this feeling, I had to carry on preparing to get ready for the night ahead of me. So, of course, I stocked up on a lot of food by killing a lot of animals. Sorry, cow, it had to be done. I made sure to kill some sheep as well so I could get a bed, so that means at least I could sleep through the night if I needed to. Next, I had to gather a few resources for the night, like stone and coal, so I could make torches to hide myself from the darkness. And let me tell you, going into these caves with no light at all was probably one of the scariest things I've done in Minecraft. And this shader pack, man, at every single turn, it feels like someone could be watching me in the distance. This is the first cave I entered, and I was absolutely on edge. I then chopped down a few more trees and set up camp with a furnace and a crafting table and placed my first bed to get ready for the night. After chopping down even more trees because I was gonna need a lot of wood for my base, I couldn't shake that feeling that someone or something was watching me. And then night had fallen. Even though the player protection program had told me not to sleep, I wasn't taking any chances this first night, so I just hit the hay. It was now day 2, and I was up bright and early to kill some more cows to get more food and gather way more materials. Now it was time for me to finally build my base, and with my base, I wasn't taking any chances with any monsters dwelling in the forests. So the plan was to build my base really high up in the sky like a sky block, so I didn't have to deal with anything in the forest stalking me at night. I also made this really neat staircase going down to my crafting table and furnace where I originally started. I woke up on the 3rd day ready to expand even more of my base. I finally reached the top of my base where I wanted to start expanding lengthwise, but then something unexpected happened. I was simply minding my own business when I finally had my first encounter with the Silence. What was that? Mr. Silence, I stay out of your way, you stay out of my way. How does that sound? Yeah, please don't hurt me. The Silence started to taunt me. I was spooked by this, and I suddenly thought that I might be in trouble. I then had to make a choice. I could cower away in my base for the entire video, but that would be a terrible video. So realistically, I had to go with the second option, which was just to face my fears, get out in the world, and start making progress. And then it sort of turned night again, and you know, I gotta get a healthy 8 hours of sleep, so I had to go back to sleep. But this is also the point that I realized that I was actually completely engulfed in darkness, and my base was the only safe point in this world. I realized that as soon as I stepped out of my base in this playthrough, not only was I in the abyss, but I was in the unknown. Kinda scary if you think about it. On the start of day 4, I just went headfirst into the unknown and started mining until I could find a cave. When I made this strip mine, I didn't intend for it to look like this, but man, that is terrifying. After making the strip mine more convenient with stairs, I headed straight into no man's land, which was this open cave. And just knowing that anyone or even the Silence could be around any of these corners was such a terrifying thought to me. I was back on the surface again getting wood for my base until this happened again. This time it wasn't just a noise, it was a full screen jump scare, and man, I was actually terrified at this point. Why am I doing this to myself? I should be over here Google translating more textures of Minecraft, and yet I'm putting myself through this. Oh my gosh, I thought that chicken was something. Everything. What is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? Seriously? Oh my. That, my friend, was the Silence himself. And yep, that was my first encounter with the Silence, and they were just poking through the trees watching me. At the start of day 5, I was not feeling myself. I kind of just wanted to stay in my base all day and expand it, but I kind of knew that that wasn't the case, and I had to keep pushing forward. I built my base for a reason, and that reason was for comfort and security. That's somewhere where you do want to feel safe, but someone else had other ideas. Whoa, 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 nope. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh my, that is not funny. I am going to have heart failure. Despite our first haunting from Herobrine, I had no choice but to get even more food so I could survive in my base. And after gathering all of that food, night had fell upon me again. I didn't want to, but I kind of realized that if I wanted to upgrade my tools, start getting things like gold and diamonds, then I would actually have to go mining. And in case you guys couldn't tell already, in a world like this, mining is no simple easy task. The Silence, Herobrine, or even one of the cave dwellers could be around any corner, and I had to stay on guard 100% of the time. It wasn't much, but this zombie dropped that chainmail chest piece, so thanks zombie, pretty cool. After dodging creepers and gathering lots of valuable materials like iron, I decided enough is enough, and I decided to head back up. On day 7, I woke up, and instead of going mining, I thought, let's just explore the world, because there are brand new naturally spawning structures around the world. And straight away, I came across this very strange pyramid made out of mossy cobblestone. I made sure to take some of this mossy cobblestone with me, because later down the line, I did want to make a Herobrine spawner that can actually provoke Herobrine. And then I carried on exploring into the world, and night fell again, and something just felt off. I was in the complete middle of nowhere, surrounded by darkness. I just wanted to sleep the night away so I could make my way back, and as I attempted to do this, something horrifying happened. This terrifying creature had approached me and then just disappeared into nothingness. As I panicked to try and sleep the night away, Herobrine gave me a jump scare too. I instantly made the decision that this place wasn't safe enough to sleep, and that I'd have to carry on pushing further into the forest to find somewhere else. That's when I stumbled upon this. This poor guy had been impaled and left here in the middle of the forest. Something or someone was warning me, and this made the situation a whole lot scarier. Now, as I pushed on further into the landscape, I also found a villager who looked this way. Whoever was doing this, I definitely did not want to mess with. And probably the most exciting thing I found for the rest of this day was this graveyard with a lot of skulls and blood lying around the place. And at this point, it'd been night long enough, so I went to bed. I woke up on day 8 to the sight of another victim of the Silence. Poor guy. As I was adventuring this day, I found this small little tiny church thing. And as I walked in, I saw something that I didn't really want to see. Also, weirdly enough, when I walked into this building, a thunderstorm had actually started, which was pretty eerie. Now, I couldn't let this situation go to waste, so I grabbed all of the free blocks like the smokers and the blast furnaces lying around the place. But besides that, nothing else interesting really happened on day 8. In the morning of day 9, I found a nearby ravine and got some coal from it. As I then pushed on even further into the landscape, I found even more dead victims of the Silence. There was even just a headless corpse lying on the floor. Oh no. No. I then reached a tiger biome and grabbed some spruce wood and spruce saplings to take home. Because as much as I do think birch is a good wood, we do need some variety with our wood. I also grabbed some berries to take home so I could plant at home. And then I found this massive frozen lake, so I thought to adventure further, let's just ride a boat across this and see how far we can go. But this turned out to be a mistake. Because as I traveled into the deserted Iceland, and I'm not making this up, something or someone started speaking to me.
Can you see me?
Oh my gosh, what is that?
Hello?
What?
Can you find me?
What is this?
Can you find me?
No. Where are you?
Here.
Where?
Behind you, look. Behind you. I'm behind you.
No, you're not. No.
I am right behind you.
No, you're not! What is... Where? What just happened? Cow? I hate this so much. Yeah, it's safe to say that I got out of here as quickly as possible and I did not want to hang around. Whoever that was speaking to me, little girl, please don't haunt me. After that experience, of course I found a nearby cave and of course I went into it to get as much iron. But who would have guessed that this was a mistake as well? No. This is the second time now. None of this funny business. Please just go away. No. And as I thought it was all over, this actually happened straight after.
Can you see me?
Not again.
Hello?
No. I'm just gonna build myself in and go to sleep. Please leave me alone. As I woke up on day 10, I thought, you know what? Yep, no, I'm done with this. I'm leaving the cave. And then I realized I actually need iron to progress and get stronger. And I don't think I'll be killing any monsters soon if I don't get any iron. So that meant I had to head straight back into the cave system and find some iron. And find iron I did. Not only was I slaying mobs, but I was finding iron, and more iron. The first thing I did on day 11 was, surprise, mine some more iron. I also found a pretty neat mineshaft that had some loot for me, including the following. Iron. I know, right? Who would have guessed? I eventually reached the deep slate part of the caves and found things like gold, which obviously I had to take. And as I ventured further into this humongous cave, I was joined by some strange noises. Watching this back, this shot of the cave is actually really cool, but at this moment in time, I was absolutely terrified of my surroundings. And then for the rest of the day, I just explored deeper into the cave. Day 12, we were back on the surface, and as I was exploring the 7 seas, I came across this giant sand pyramid that was placed in the middle of the ocean. Now, for those who's living under a rock, this isn't normal world generation, so someone must have done this. Either way, it was very suspicious. After finally finding land, I found another one of these church-like buildings, and as I walked in, I didn't learn my lesson, and it set off another thunderstorm. And someone who loves to stalk at night, and especially at thunderstorms, is the silence. So now it was pitch black, and I was running around like a headless chicken in the middle of nowhere. I placed the bed down, went to sleep, and as it was the next day and the darkness had cleared, there was a giant building right next to where I just slept. So obviously my curiosity had got the better of me and I decided to go straight in. And man, this place was a mess. It's almost as if a science experiment or something had gone wrong and something or someone had killed everyone and escaped. And even the guys from the player protection program had met the same fate. And that didn't give me any confidence because these guys knew what they were doing. As I was exploring a little bit more of this building, I randomly heard a glass smash sound effect, almost as if someone was breaking into here with me or someone was already here with me. So I think the best decision was just to make a dash for the exit and leave. After this, I was exploring the barren wasteland, and I came across this old abandoned mineshaft. There was a tunnel here that led down to the Earth's core as far as the eye could see. Now, I could leave here and cower away, but let's be real, we gotta go down here for the content. So, I ventured down slowly into the deep, dark abyss, not knowing what was ahead of me. On arrival, I was met by a creeper, and as I ventured in further to this mineshaft, I was jumped by a gang of poison spiders. Not cool. Then, when I was in a safe enough position, I cooked up the rest of the raw food that I had. And as I left this safe space, I was set back into reality and realized that someone could be watching me right now. Like you, the viewer. Hello. Oh my gosh, he broke the fourth wall. Jokes aside though, it was night and I wasn't taking any more chances, so I decided to go to bed. I ventured further and further into this abandoned mineshaft. Other than picking up a few more materials and deep slate, nothing else really happened for the rest of this day, and I climbed back out of the abandoned mineshaft. Day 15 and I was back on the surface in no man's land, and as I was adventuring, I came across another one of these abandoned lab things. As I was exploring another one of these labs, I found pretty okay loot, things like redstone, nether warts, nothing too special, but as I was leaving, I had a pretty big scare. Huh? What? Hello? What? What is going on? No. Uh-oh. And amidst all this chaos, I was panicking, I didn't know what was going on, someone else decided to taunt me. Yep, I wasn't sticking around to see what happens. And as I got further away, I found another graveyard, and thinking there might be some loot here, I walked in, and that set off a thunderstorm. I was now in the dark, in the middle of nowhere, with these random sirens going off. I was in full panic mode. As I woke up, I thought I was finally safe. The alarms had stopped, but someone had been following me. And that someone was the silence. I made a complete dash for it. I wanted to put enough blocks between me and the silence. But guess who hadn't learned their lesson on the third time? I again went into one of these churches and I set off another thunderstorm. But at least this one had an anvil. And since the silence was on my tail, I had to sleep this thunderstorm away. So this yet took up another day. At least now I could actually see what was going on. I decided to climb this mountain. There was this giant ritual altar with red candles surrounding it, followed by a scary noise. If I wanted to set this off, I was going to need the tear from the Man of the Fog, and that was going to take a while to get, so I just carried on further into this forest. And that's when I heard this strange sound. And after further inspection, I realized this was a little harmless deer. It couldn't possibly be anything more than that, right? Right, guys? Anyway, as I'd done a little bit of a detour and a loop, I could finally walk all the way back home. And this is the first time in a long time that I had a sense of security. I was back home at my base. Woo! And as the darkness was slowly engulfing the world, I was expanding my base a little bit and placed the first sapling of many on the base. Then, all of a sudden, I had a feeling that someone was watching me. This now meant the Man from the Fog was in our world, so I decided to go to sleep. It was now day 18 and I knew this was the day that I had to really upgrade my house and make sure that my base was properly fortified with actual walls. By night, I'd finished the outline of my house, but for some strange reason, I couldn't sleep. Yeah, that makes sense. That's probably why I couldn't sleep. I didn't really know what was making this noise, so I decided to cower in a 2x1 until hopefully this sound went away. And after waiting for a while, it disappeared, and I could finally go to sleep. I woke up and instantly got to work on my base, constantly checking my surroundings to see if there was something or anyone watching me. Now, there were two things that I currently needed to do. I needed to collect enough sand so I could get windows for my base, and also I needed to collect some water so I could bring the water back up and start a farm on my base. While I was doing this, Herobrine was watching. Yeah, I thought I was going insane at this point. As soon as I got back, I popped all of the sand into the furnaces to start making some glass and then used the dirt I had to start making a farm on the base. I also started stocking up on dirt so I could build a bigger farm. Once the glass was done, I started filling in all of the windows, and man, this guy just couldn't keep away from me. He was watching my every movement. By nightfall, I finally had enough glass to finish the roof. And then it was time to go to sleep. And it was also time to move this tomb outside of my house. I don't even know why I put it inside in the first place. For this day, I wanted to do a little bit more work around the base, so I broke a few trees and finished the roof. I then made sure to finish the first 5x5 farm, and then planted some of our sweet berries. After all of this was done, I set out on another adventure to see if I could find supplies. I stumbled upon this weird looking torture chamber in the middle of nowhere, right next to an abandoned acacia village. I can't lie, even though this village was abandoned completely, it was actually really useful for me because I could steal all of their food. Someone on the other hand wasn't too happy about this. Oh no. Now, as I saw some cobwebs as I entered this village, I was under the impression that it was actually abandoned. But as I walked into this house and realized that the chests were actually full, and realized that there was a villager actually in the bed taking a nap. All this means for me, though, is now there's plenty of loot to go around for my pockets. As soon as I woke up, I literally started stealing from all of the villagers' hard work. I also started stealing a lot of hay bales because this was going to get me a lot of bread, which will help me stay full throughout this entire playthrough. I made sure to check literally every single villager house as well and scavenge all of their loot. There was a lot of gems and resources randomly in these villagers' houses, and you know what? Don't mind if I do. I then plunged headfirst into a nearby cave. I also finally realized that with all the resources that I had, I could actually finally make a backpack and store way more items in my inventory. Thank goodness for that, because I was running out of inventory space. After adventuring for a while, we finally found our first batch of diamonds. Woo! Diamonds, baby! Let's go! Yeah! I then found this advanced zombie spawner dungeon thing that had a little bit of iron and an enchanted book for flame in it. I was absolutely chuffed to bits when I found these diamonds, but this baby zombie had to ruin the moment. Gosh dang it. After dwelling in the caves for a little bit more, I found another diamond. I really gotta say though, the glow lichen was my least favorite block for a reason, because every time there was a glow lichen, I thought it was a diamond. And then I got another one. Yeah! And another one, and another one. At this point, after collecting all the diamonds, I was having a good time, but then someone reminded me of the reality I was actually in. Amongst all this evil, I did make a bucket so I could capture an axolotl as a pet. We're just gonna call this little guy Bubbles. At this point now I was fighting for my life since there were so many mobs surrounding me, and I was also joined by someone in the distance. On the plus side, I did find a diamond, but that plus side didn't last very long, because then this happened. The silence wasn't going to stop me though. I made my first diamond pickaxe and found a few extra diamonds. But as this was happening, I was making sure to constantly check my surroundings because he might be here with me in the caves. I then ventured into this lush mineshaft, and as I was climbing one of the lush vines, someone was standing there watching me, menacingly. So I decided to do what anyone would do and just take a few screenshots. He didn't seem to want to go away. At this point I was thinking, how could I effectively maybe even attack him if he's not actually going anywhere? So I tried to swing my camera around with my sword, and he was gone. Just like that. Now in this silence mod, you can actually craft a flashlight, but to do that, you actually need copper and a diamond. Lucky for me, I just found copper and I already had a few diamonds on me. After crafting 2 copper and 1 diamond, I had finally acquired the flashlight. This thing did flicker quite a lot, but it actually was quite effective and did light up the area very well. This was a good example of me showing off a flashlight, and yeah, it is pretty bright. Now as I'm watching back this part of the video, I'm realizing it's insane because I was actually so close to the cave dweller, and I made the right move to go and hide when I heard his screams. Now watching this all back, I didn't actually realize how long I was down the caves for. Killing mobs, getting resources, and getting absolutely terrified by our good friend Herobrine. After getting as much resources from this cave as I possibly could, and still getting haunted by Herobrine and the cave dweller, I decided enough was enough and decided to head back to the surface. And good thing I was right next to the acacia village again, because I could actually just go straight into bed with this villager. Hey buddy. As I went on my next adventure into the forest, I found a mysterious TV, and next to the TV there was a chest with a cassette tape inside of it. This cassette was labeled The Echoes of Bygone Bells. Yeah, not scary at all. And to make this situation worse, the sign next to the TV had "Are you sure?" written on it. And not only were there dead bodies lying right on the floor here, but this mysterious girl started speaking to me again.
I'm behind you.
And as soon as I put the tape in to listen to it, the silence started laughing manically in the background. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Herobrine decided to also pay a visit. How nice of him. Now the tape was telling a story about a young miner named James. And James unleashed a curse upon himself and the world. And this curse inevitably turned James into the silence. After listening to that pretty scary tape, I was back on an adventure and the silence was here to say hello. And because of course not, so was the mysterious little girl.
Hello?
No, go away, little girl. No, I can't find you. No, I can't. Please go away. As I ventured deeper into the forest, I came across a mysterious house. And as I walked in, I was shocked to what I saw. I had just found a slaughterhouse in the middle of the forest. Although this building did contain multiple murders, there was an emerald in the chest. I mean, we ignore the body parts. There was an emerald in the chest. That's pretty cool. Now, as this was the same mod as the church building, this also set off a thunderstorm. And man, I was not prepared for what happens next. Not only was there a cursed pair of legs walking on its own, but someone was following me. Oh my god. What is... As the silence disappeared into the darkness, the game told me that something was wrong. At this point, I did not know where the silence was, so I just decided to run for my life. I had no other choice. The game also reminded me of my own thoughts and feelings and told me that I don't feel safe. I know, game! I'm trying to survive out here, man! As I ran and ran and ran, I'd managed to outrun the silence, but just for now. So I decided to cower in a box and dig down into the floor. As I made my way back, it was too far into the night, so I decided to just hit the hay and finally go to sleep. Once I finally got back home, I got ready to smelt some gold, and in the process, getting absolutely scared. Huh? Although I was absolutely terrified, I did have to make sure that I was eating properly. I did go outside to investigate to see if the smiling man was anywhere to be seen, but it didn't seem so. So once I got back inside, I made a nice little glass cage for Bubbles. Yay, Bubbles is here, woo! I then made sure I had an infinite water source ready for the farm, and then I started to expand my base from the other side. With the infinite water source ready to go, I made sure to till all of the farmland and start planting our first seeds. With all the iron we had acquired from mining, I made an anvil so I could get ready to start putting a few enchantments on things. And then it was finally time to hit the hay. The goal for the next few days was to actually make a mob grinder, because later down the line, I'm gonna need a way to get a lot of XP. But not only would I need the XP for things like mending, but I would also need the loot from all of the mob drops. So I expanded the base and prepared for where the mobs would die, and eventually all of their mob drops would go into this bottom chest here. But as I headed out to collect more wood, the silence jump scared me, but this time was a lot more eerie, because there wasn't any noise at all. Like, what do I do in this situation? Do I go out? Should I get more wood? Hello? Since the silence didn't seem to be around, I did cave in and go down to start collecting a little bit more wood for the mob grinder. Once I made it back, I was crafting a few items and I heard a really strange sound in the distance. What is that? I don't like these noises. No. It was now day 29 and we had to start making a lot more progress on this mob grinder. So I built this tower all the way to the top. Once we finally reached the top, I started building outwards. But then of course this took up so much wood that I had to go back down all the way to the surface and start mining more birch trees. And I was mining a lot of trees because this mob grinder was going to take a lot of wood. I also made a ladder all the way to the top of the mob grinder so I could climb up and down the mob grinder with ease. And then it was back to work on top of the mob grinder, building this mob grinder into the night and all the way into the next day. And of course I was joined by a few scary sounds. It was day 30 now and I had to carry on work with my giant mob grinder. I eventually finally got the water in, and once I finished the outline of the mob grinder, I'd have to start getting the trapdoors in. And of course, we were back on the surface getting even more wood because I kept running out. And I gotta say, there was a suspicious amount of deer for some reason. I have no idea why. I did this all the way into the night, finally making a start on the trapdoors, and I also had a great view of the base. While I was up here, I did have a quick glimpse of Herobrine, making me think I was going insane again. And after a hard day of work, I came back down the ladder to a shocking discovery. Bubbles was missing. Surprise, surprise, the morning of day 31, I was out again mining more wood for the mob grinder. Who would have guessed? Sometimes I forget how bad it is to be out in the open mining wood because things like this can happen. First it was Herobrine, then it was a full-blown jump scare. And now a thunderstorm had started, and I was vulnerable out in the middle of nowhere. But still, I had to push forward, making sure I could finish the mob grinder. Placing a lot of birch wood and a lot of trapdoors, it was finally done. All I had to do now was make sure I could get on the roof and place lots of torches to stop mobs from spawning on top of the mob grinder. And after all of this, I finally had my first encounter with the smiling man. As I was descending the ladder, I noticed someone was standing in the middle of the forest, in the middle of the darkness, standing there, watching me and waving at me. And as I walked to the side, he sort of faded into the darkness. Now at this moment in time, I had no idea where he'd gone. I was so spooked by this, I had to check my trapdoor to see if anyone was there, checked around to see if anyone was there, and making sure it was safe before going to sleep. Although, the TV did not help. I don't know why I brought the TV here. So guys, before we start the next day, it's post-Rennie here, and I was actually watching back the footage of this video, and what I didn't realize is once I actually got jump scared by the smiling man, he was standing right there. I did not notice this, not when I was playing, not after I'd watched this clip a few times. How did I miss this? I'm gonna count myself very lucky. It was now day 32, and the mob grinder was in full swing. Well, kind of. Because mobs were spawning and mobs were dropping, it just kind of felt slower than usual. I then treated myself to a diamond chest piece and some more diamond armor, and then I started to work on the mine, making the mine shaft a little bit thicker. As I was doing this though, I heard a very strange and scary sound. Not only that though, but when I went on the roof to check what made that sound, there was a sign here that I did not place, by the way, that said in full caps, "Wake up," period. I can't stress enough, this isn't fake, I didn't plant this sign here, this is real, this just appeared here. So, my game theory is that Herobrine has put this here. So, to rub it in Herobrine's face, why not just meme it and use the glowing sack and make his sign look pretty? That's a pretty sign right there. On the start of the next day, I went to widen the mine again, and that's when I heard this really strange noise again. Coming from either up there or down there. I do not know. As I came up to inspect the noise, something unexpected happened. I got attacked by this giant undead deer monster. In a panicked state, I killed this guy straight away, and he dropped his deer head as a trophy. After finally getting rid of the noise and killing the monster, I could finally get back to widening the mine stays. And I did this for a while, even to the point of reaching Deep Slate and finding brand new caves. Luckily for me, there were also some diamonds down here. And also, for some strange reason, there were also deers down here. Although, even though I was down here, something did not seem right. At one point when I was mining, I heard running footsteps even though I was walking. I was completely stationary, and I heard someone running at me. Straight after this horrifying face appeared on my screen, I decided to mine into the walls. But at this point, I realized if I wait here forever, this is going to be boring, so I had to venture deeper into the caves and find more diamonds and more gold. I did run into a mine shaft, which was pretty cool, and also found some more diamonds. Realizing I didn't have enough wood, I stole all of this wood from the mine shaft. I don't think they'll mind. Since I had enough diamonds now, I could also make a diamond helmet to complete the fit. Somehow, and I don't know how, but there was actually deer all the way down here in this mine shaft, and when two of them combined, they created another one of these giant deer monsters. This guy did a lot of damage, but lucky for me, I defended myself well and killed the monster. And at this point, I thought, yeah, I've had enough. Let's just head back to the surface. Man, now that this is way wider, that looks even more scary. I'm not gonna lie. That's a scary corridor. It was now day 37, and today I wanted to obtain obsidian so I could go to the nether. But first things first, I went straight to the mob farm to try and get a little bit of XP. And the mob loot chest was filling up pretty nicely. Now, before I went to the nether, I did want to stock up on a lot of wood to make sure I had plenty of resources in case I got stranded. Then it was time for me to finally head down to the mine and obtain this obsidian. It was a little bit of a pain to actually find it, but in the end, I got the obsidian from a lava lake. And in the process, finding a few diamonds. Hey, I'm not complaining. Diamonds are diamonds. And then I was mining up all the obsidian, but of course something bad had to happen. Herobrine was stood there watching me. It was now day 38, and it was early days, but now I could start making a move on netherite. So I expanded my base for a place for me to put the nether portal. Then I collected a little bit more XP, and then I headed down to get some gravel so I could get flint for flint and steel and ignite the nether portal. The nether spawn was okay, you know, it was pretty decent. Wasn't the most amazing thing in the world, but this did now mean that we could make a start on the netherite mine. So I started digging all the way down to Y level 12. So now I was ready for when I get lots of beds, I could just come down to this mine and start blowing up the nether. It was quite tedious though, because I did actually have to get under lava lakes, which is always annoying. But in the end, I managed to get a tunnel in the low levels of the nether. Now, since we were on a quest for netherite, I actually needed sheep for this so I could shear the sheep to make beds. So I set out to find some sheep so I could take the sheep back and make a pen. Sadly, I couldn't actually find any sheep, so I decided to spend my time wisely and head back to the base. Now that I was back at the base, I was using this time wisely to expand the tree farm, almost as if I was completely playing Skyblock. But of course, with all of this comes needing to chop down every single last tree to get enough wood. Now, I wanted my base to be high up in the sky, but realistically, this base was coming a little bit too close to the mountain on the side. So to block off the mountain and block off anyone coming from the mountain into my base, I decided to build a wall on this side of the base. I wasn't taking any chances, and I wanted to make sure that no one could break into my base. Also, of course, you have to light up the area, you have to be safe from mobs. And I ended the day by doing a medium amount of farming. I started off day 40 by making another 5x5 farm area, and then of course planting all of the seeds on this farm. I did the daily things like cut down a lot of trees and collect my XP from the mob farm, but I realized that my saplings weren't actually growing properly, so I had to change the position of them. And then I made a really cool iron chest which had way more slots. And this chest was purely for things like saplings, wood, any farming things. As night fell, I was on top of my base, and as I was looking around, I realized this place is really, really dark. If anyone was in the forest right now watching me, I couldn't see them. I placed down loads of torches to light up the entire area. So as I woke up in the morning, I made sure to place torches literally everywhere. Any place I could find that didn't have a torch now had a torch. As I wandered off into the distance, still looking for sheep, I saw this massive building in the distance. So obviously the curiosity got the best of me and I decided to head straight in. That's when I found this cultist waiting for me, selling a cassette player. He also had an enchanting table, which I wouldn't mind taking. Also, he had Tear of the Man. This is the item that you use in the ritual to make your world a living nightmare. Now at this point, I wasn't actually sure if I wanted to do that. So I decided to just yoink the enchanting table and make a dash for it. Also, I had had enough of the girl whispering in my ear. Oh my gosh, go away! Please stop. No. And that's when I stumbled across another lab. And I just thought, this is pointless. Let's just leave. I know what happened last time. No thank you. As I finally made my way back home, I popped some food in the oven. I then needed to get some wood so I could actually craft these bookshelves for my enchanting table. And as I was doing this, Herobrine was stalking me again. Like, man, what's his problem? From stealing, I did actually have a lot of books, so it was pretty easy for me to make some bookshelves. And at the end of the day, I placed all the bookshelves that I had. As soon as I woke up, I got to work breaking down all of the trees that had just grown. And I actually needed a lot more wood so I could expand my base even further. So I got to mining down trees and expanding the base. Of course, I was joined by a few scary sounds. It's the norm at this point. After doing this all day, I did also use the wood to build over my trees so they wouldn't grow as big. And at one point, I went into my base to grab some items, and Herobrine was just standing there, watching me on the bridge. I didn't know what to do at this point, and I was very, very spooked. He was staring at me for quite a long time, and all I did was walk to the right, and he was gone. I then went down to plant a few berries, get some more wood. I did a small amount of terraforming so I could get ready to expand the pathway, and at the end of the day, I stood on top of the base and looked down at all of the torches I had placed. And finally, we did have some light in the darkness. Now, I really wanted to start making some progress on netherite. So that meant I had to go and find some sheep. After searching for quite some time, I finally found some 2 sheep and brought them all the way back home. But of course, in the process, getting jump scared by the distant smile. Once I finally got the sheep home, I decided to make a little pen for them to stay in for the time being. And of course, we had to make a little baby to start the family. Now it was time to start terraforming the land. Now, I needed to terraform the land so I can make a big enough pen to keep enough sheep in to make hundreds and hundreds of beds so I could explore the nether, which would then translate into netherite. After the sheep was making more babies, I heard a very strange sound. But this time, this sound was different because it was persistent and it sounded like it was getting closer. That's when I saw a zombie with a backpack on, and that zombie was playing music from the backpack. To start, this music was actually kind of pleasant until it wasn't, and it got really distorted and scary. At this point, I was convinced that the sound wasn't coming from the zombie, but after I finally killed the zombie, the sound all stopped. Which was good for me because I was absolutely terrified. Another thing that was good for me is this zombie dropped an iron backpack, which was the normal backpack but with way more slots. This meant I could take so much more items on the go, which would make my life so much easier. On the next day, I made sure to feed the sheep as always, and then I started to expand the pen so the sheep had way more room. Then, of course, I carried on work with terraforming the land, which was quite tedious, but I think the end result will definitely be worth it. I made sure to feed the sheep again so they could make even more little babies, and I also started shearing some. I made work on the stairs as well, and I made it look very neat and tidy, so we now had a stairway going from the base door all the way down to the pen. So with my base door, I decided that it wasn't durable and strong and defensive enough. So for my main door, I decided to craft a reinforced security door, and for the main bridge at my base, I made a reinforced security door as well. The distant smile didn't seem to enjoy my security door though because he jump scared me. And I don't think Herobrine enjoyed these door changes too, because he was watching me change the door. In the morning of the next day, I had my daily duties like chop down the trees and feed the sheep. But for today, my goals was to get way more resources so I could make more diamond tools and get more diamonds so in the future I can make some netherite upgrade smithing templates. So that's exactly what I did. I ventured off into the mines to find some diamonds and even iron so I could have plenty if I needed to craft new things like defensive doors. I also found some gold and some more diamonds. Let's go, baby, woo! When I was down here mining, the cave dweller did want to say hello. And so did the silence. It's almost like both of them was watching me. Not only was Herobrine stalking me from a distance, but the silence was getting closer and closer by the second. Okay. The joke wasn't that funny, mate. It was just a knock-knock joke. Oh, okay. No. And I knew the silence was close because when I mined into the wall to craft something, he was right here with me. Oh my gosh, 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 what do I do? What do I do? Something is wrong. Uh-oh. Guys? I don't, what's the silence? Oh no, no, this is bad. I was in a really bad situation here, and the silence started speaking to me in jumbled text. I knew I had to get out of here somehow, so I started mining up in sort of like a strip mine kind of way, and I was only doing this because I knew the silence couldn't get to me if I was in a 2x1 position. Even though I was doing this, the silence made sure his presence was known. And just as I thought I was safe, he was back again. Oh my gosh, go away, silence, go away. Oh, no. What do I do? He's just gonna keep following me. I'm gonna have to keep mining up. And as I reached the surface, I had finally outran the silence, and I was finally safe. Or was I? The silence had followed me all the way up to the surface, and he was here stalking me. The game let me know for a split second that I wasn't alone. No, I've reached the surface and he's still here. What do I do? Oh my gosh, go away. Oh, okay. He's speaking to me as well. What? I actually don't know what that means. Oh, this is horrible. This is horrible. This is horrible. This is horrible. And I thought at this point the best plan of action was to literally just go to sleep, and hopefully he'll go away in the morning. It was now the morning, so I was hoping maybe the silence would finally be gone. But I couldn't have been more wrong about this, because as soon as I thought this, the silence started laughing manically, and then decided to start stalking me again. And this time the sound was way more intense than last time, and I was actually terrified at this point. I really didn't know what to do. If I went to the surface, the silence would just jump and attack me, so I had to be very, very careful. And when I was down here, the little girl started speaking to me once again. No, I am in a bad enough situation right now. Please go away. Please. The only thing I could really do is just mine, and try and get as far away from the silence as I possibly can. Eventually, I got so far away, I was actually close to my base, and I decided to very carefully mine up and build up in a 1x1 tower. As I looked around, the coast seemed to be clear, so I decided to head back to my base. The only thing that did occur, though, was Herobrine was here once again. And he was just staring at me menacingly, so I decided to go say hey to him, and go upstairs, and then he left me. He didn't want to be friends. Now it was time for me to get lots more wood, so I could craft that wood with wool to make beds for netherite. And as I got ready with all of these beds, I decided to head into the nether. This turned out to be one of the biggest mistakes I could have made. For some reason, the silence had actually entered the nether. So once I entered the nether, the silence was waiting there ready to kill me. You could see how panicked I was because I kept pausing the game, ready to combat log the silence. But as soon as I unpaused this one final time, the silence just disappeared. And I was somehow still alive. I honestly don't know how. I am so lucky, but I don't know how I left that situation with my life. To say the least though, I am not complaining. So let's just take this time to head down into the nether and start blowing up some beds for netherite. For a very long time, all I was doing down here was literally just placing beds and exploding them. Placing beds and then exploding them, trying to find some netherite. Once I used up all the beds, I decided it was time to head home. But going through the portal, I had to be very careful to make sure the silence wasn't waiting on the other side of it for me. The next morning, I made sure to go down to my sheep, say hello, shear them, and breed them together. Back at my base, I started to hear another strange sound, and this is sort of a theme of this video. I didn't know where it was coming from until I actually checked the mob grinder, and I saw another entity with a backpack on its back playing music. As scary as this may seem at first, this is actually a good thing because we can spawn mobs in the mob grinder with backpacks, which will give us extra loot. To spice things up, I decided to adventure in a completely new direction that I'd never gone before, and I stumbled upon this brand new fortified desert village. I was going to, of course, loot this village for all its bed and all its loot, but I kind of got distracted with this camel, and he was pretty cool, and he let me ride him, and then he got tired. Poor guy. After riding Dave, it was back to looting the houses and stealing the beds of these innocent villagers. I made sure to steal all of their bookshelves to get books, I made sure to shear their sheep, and some of the loot here was actually good, like these enchanted books. At one point I was walking through the village, and an entity in the distance also let its presence be known by screaming in the distance. This chest had a diamond in it, pretty cool, don't mind if I do. And by night, since there were monsters still about, I decided to get some height, build all the way up, and this is where I was going to sleep for the night. When I woke up the next day, I went straight into the village to loot even more of their chests. I also found another library with even more bookshelves, and now this should be enough for our enchanting table. I finally decided to leave the village, and in the distance, I saw this massive ancient pyramid, and when I tried to mine it, it gave me mining fatigue, which meant we'd have to enter and loot this entire pyramid without being able to mine. Lucky for me though, I had a water bucket and I could enter slowly without taking any damage. As I entered, there was a very mysterious and spooky vibe to the place. And that's when I came across this first puzzle. I first ran onto this puzzle and took some damage, and then realized that the path was lit up and I'd have to follow it. Now I did complete this puzzle, but I'm not actually sure what it did, so I decided to head back to the center of the pyramid. Sadly, I didn't actually really find much here. All I got was attacked by loads of husks and being stalked by Herobrine. With this giant pyramid though, I did assume that it would be like a normal Minecraft pyramid, and this block in the center would have something beneath it, so I decided to break it even with mining fatigue, which took a very long time. And once the block finally broke, I was met with the disappointment that nothing was beneath this block, and I'd have to leave with nothing. So this pyramid was basically a huge waste of time. Even though it was night, I carried on adventuring further into the world, but I realized I was probably in a very dangerous position right now, so I should probably build myself in and just go to sleep. I was back in the mines again, looking for even more resources. I just needed a lot of gold, iron, diamonds, and emeralds because these stuff will help me out a lot in the future. As I was down here, I found this really cool mob spawner that shot out loads of different mobs for a challenge. And I also found this giant turtle monster that smashed the floor. He did hurt me, but he was a pretty cool guy. Now at the moment, I didn't have any luck with diamonds, so I decided to go strip mining instead. And I really want diamonds so I can upgrade my backpack from an iron backpack to a gold backpack, and then from a gold backpack to a diamond backpack. That was a tongue twister, okay. I was down here strip mining for absolutely ages, getting haunted by the smiling man in the process. I also heard the cave dweller screaming at me from the distance, and this is the last thing I wanted to hear because if the cave dweller came out of nowhere and attacked me, I would be in a little bit of a pickle trapped in a strip mine. And just as I thought I was safe, the cave dweller spawned in. No. He was charging straight at me and wasn't slowing down. I managed to block myself in, but I was still taking damage from the cave dweller, so I had to mine out a little bit further. And I could see his head poking through the wall. I was very lucky to be alive right now. After that life-threatening situation, the cave dweller finally disappeared into the darkness. Luckily for me now, I had enough diamonds to upgrade my backpack into a diamond backpack, which had so much more available space. Then, as I carried on strip mining, I found even more diamonds. Today was my lucky day, and that's when I heard the cave dweller again. Don't come back, buddy. No, please don't. And then my diamond pickaxe broke, which means now I'd have to make another one and use up another 3 diamonds. I decided I had to get out of here, so I started mining upwards, and I was hearing some very scary sounds in the distance. Like, look at this! This is terrifying. I was all alone with this sound. Anything could just charge at me now, and I'd poo myself. I would poo myself. Luckily, I found a nearby cave with some more diamonds. And as I carried on mining and adventuring, I found even more diamonds. When I was mining out of here, I finally reached the Y level that had stone, which meant I was getting finally closer to the surface. As I finally reached the surface and back at my base, I decided to check out my sheep, shear them, and feed them. I now needed wood, so I could craft this wood with the bookshelves I had acquired from the village, and then I placed these bookshelves at my enchanting table. The next morning, I of course went down to check on all of my little sheepies. Once they were all sheared and fed, I went back up and decided to use all of my deep slate cobble from the mining trip to turn them into better looking blocks. I also decided to shear this tree here to get some of the leaves, so I could use these leaves to decorate the base later. I also now had a lot of these slabs that I could use because I put all of the cobble deep slate into the stone cutter. And all I was going to do was expand my base so I could place way more saplings and grow way more trees on top of my base. So I did the same thing by building over these trees so they wouldn't grow too big, so I could mine all these trees down very conveniently. While I was doing this, of course, I had a visit from Herobrine. Like, why wouldn't I? He's always here now. He's actually my roommate. Me and Herobrine are actually roommates now, I forgot to say. I went down and did a medium amount of decorating, but I looked at my mine shaft and realized how scary this actually looked. Like, that's horrifying. And in the night, I went to duplicate even more of my sheep by breeding them. As I woke up the next morning, the guy from the player protection program started speaking to me. I don't know how, I don't know from where, maybe the TV, but he was telling me another ghost story.
Through the forests and grasslands, there was an ordinary man, a person like you, who went to look for wood for the fire.
Sorry, dude, as much as your story might be interesting, I have to carry on upgrading my tree farm. I am a man who is married to the grind. And I'm also married to the No, I'm not. I'm gonna look after these sheep. And I'm also gonna build them a bigger pen. Because that's what they deserve, gosh dang it. My sheep deserve a bigger pen. Yeah. I am definitely not doing this out of my own greed, wanting netherite. I am definitely doing this to look after the sheep. And that's it. How dare you assume it was anything else? I mean, look how much beds I have. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty good plus side. And to finish the day, I managed to get efficiency 4 on my diamond pickaxe. What a win. At the start of the day, I went over to the XP farm and grabbed whatever XP there was there. I then wanted to connect the bridge that had the nether portal and the mob grinder to the bridge that had all of the trees on. So I built a cross with the slabs that I'd saved. Once this bridge was built, I made sure to light it up with all the torches I had. And then we were off to the nether to get netherite. Down here, I was blowing up bed after bed after bed in hopes that I would eventually find some netherite. Eventually, after some time and with some luck, I finally found our first ancient debris. And as I used up the rest of the beds, I went straight back to the portal, and that's when I noticed that the silence was here in the nether with me, stalking me. As I made my way back to the base, I finally smelted down the ancient debris and made some netherite. And as I had a smithing table ready to make some netherite tools, I realized, oh yeah, I'm on 1.20 and I'm gonna need an upgrade template just to upgrade to netherite. So I got some more wool ready to make some more beds and then went to sleep. Today's the day where I have to go and set out into the nether to find a bastion for an upgrade template. And to not bore you with the details, I finally found a bastion and heard a loud scream. I arrived in the bastion and it was awfully quiet. And that's when I turned a corner and saw the silence was here with me. I'm not sure if it was the best plan of action, but I reacted quickly by building myself into a little hole. After adventuring in the bastion for some time, I finally found the chest in the middle with gold blocks, but most importantly, this chest had the smithing upgrade template in it. The only problem I had is that there were 2 piglin brutes guarding this chest, and one of these guys was pretty OP. But I did just kind of cheese them by staying on the high ground and killing them from above. And as I started to take this gold, you could tell that these piglins, they weren't happy. So I thought, yeah, that was my cue to leave, let's get out of here. Now that I had the upgrade template, I kind of wanted to upgrade my sword to netherite, so I made sure to enchant it first. Now I know what you're probably all thinking, why are you using the upgrade template without making more first? Yeah, I didn't think this through either, and we'll talk about this further in the video. But in the meantime, I did get Unbreaking 3 and Feather Falling 4 on my diamond boots. And now, with all of the gold that we just acquired from the Bastion, I kind of wanted to make a Herobrine spawner to provoke Herobrine and make him angrier. So I made this deep slit brick area that looked pretty clean, and this is where I was going to build Herobrine spawner on top of. Then I heard a mysterious sound. I didn't think anything of it until I got jump scared by the smiling demon. Now what I didn't realize is that every time you see this jump scare, the smiling demon will start stalking you from a distance, waving at you. And I only now realized at this point because I saw the smiling demon in the distance and I kind of pooed myself. Coincidentally, as this was happening, a gang of pillagers rocked up, so I had to kill them. Unfortunately though, this gave me the bad omen effect. And once these pesky pillagers were dealt with, I finally lit the Herobrine spawner. As I was standing around eating this food, the sky just changed. Like, it just got very dark very quickly. This is probably due to the Herobrine spawner. And for the content and for good measure, I decided why not, let's just make another Herobrine spawner. You know what they say? The more the merrier. Although, this is not going to be merrier because I might die. This is fine. The next day, 2 things happened, and one of them was arguably bigger than the other. The first thing was I chopped down all the trees that had grown and I planted back all the saplings. And the other one, not to bore you with the details, but I did find a tiger village and accidentally set off a raid. Oops. These guys did not stand a chance against my brand new netherite sword. The silence probably did, but definitely not these guys. Now, for the next days, I did spend it in this village taking out this raid. Because, man, I don't know if you guys know, but raids take a long time. I didn't know this before because I hadn't done one in such a long time. Since I still did need netherite, I was actually stealing beds from this village to take back with me later. Sometimes these guys were bunched up and it was pretty easy to kill them. As I was murdering these pillagers, I was actually raiding and looting the village, so, you know. And when the evoker guy spawned, I made sure to dash for him to kill him so I could get my hands on a totem of undying. It was pretty close though. I was very low on health, but I did get the totem in the end. Now it was time to kidnap these villagers and take them hostage so they can trade with me forever until the end of time. Back in the mines now, and not only did I find diamonds, but I also very much needed obsidian so I could make another nether portal to connect my main base to where I'm going to trade with all of these villagers. So, I popped through the nether portal and started making my way to the codes of my main base nether portal. This was a very, very tedious thing to do, but it was going to be worth it in the long run because I'd only have to run a few blocks to get in between the both of them. And as I arrived in my portal, not only did I see Herobrine, but I saw something way scarier. In the distance, I could just see a faint, dark figure standing there, motionlessly, watching me. Now, this figure wasn't moving, wasn't doing anything, they were just there, watching my every movement. And I couldn't even really see them as they faded into the distance. To make the situation worse, as I turned around, Herobrine jump scared me again. I was actually panicking at this point. I didn't know what to do, and I was terrified. What is that? What do I do? Do I go over? Should I go over? Should I go say hello? That is terrifying. That is so scary. Oh my god, is this from the Herobrine spawner? What is that? I haven't seen this this entire playthrough. Oh, no. I put on my big boy pants and pulled up my socks and decided to mine over there and try and get a closer look. And man, it was a terrifying sight. To be honest, I didn't want to go any closer and I just decided to mind my own business. And then the cave dweller reminded me that they were there. As I'd now successfully connected both of the portals together, and my curiosity was getting the better of me, I thought, should I go over and do something? Should I try and attack this figure? So I went over, closing my eyes, and the thing just disappeared. Weirdly, as I turned around to go back, Herobrine was in the exact same spot that ghost was just in. This haunting was terrifying, and I was hoping that was the end of that. So I decided to make this path more durable by adding deep slate bricks. But boy, was I wrong about it being over. The shadowy figure had appeared yet again down there. Not only that though, but he was joined by the smiling, waving demon. It's safe to say that I was done with all this and I just wanted to completely leave. I was back with the villagers now and I had to make this area look nice if I wanted this to be my trading outpost. So I made a quick 5x5 farm. When I was here, completely minding my own business, the silence decided to surprise me yet again. And as I blocked myself in, I thought he couldn't see me until the silence turned around and looked directly at me. No, please go away, no, go away, sir, go away. Since I hid from the silence in this home, I decided to make this house my second house. So I placed a crafting table, a chest, and a bed. Just as I thought I was safe, the smiling man also teleported to me and came to say hello. I was terrified of doing this, but I did peek out to see if they were there, and there was no sign of anybody. Silence, seriously, the joke wasn't that funny, mate. I don't know why you're laughing, mate. He's actually still going, like he's actually still laughing at the joke, and it's just not that funny. At this point in time, I had a very good setup with my villager trading outpost. I had babies coming in from the villagers that will grow up to be my workers. And as I had a fletching table, I was now going to sell lots and lots of sticks into emeralds. So I got to work mining any wood that I could find, especially the roofs of the villagers, because this was a good source of wood. After doing this, of course, I went straight to the Fletcher and started selling all of these sticks for emeralds. I had also picked up a lectern from the desert village I found earlier, because realistically this was my goal. I wanted these villagers to get enchanting books so I can eventually have some OP gear. This day was a little bit of rinse and repeat with mining wood and selling sticks. Mining wood and selling sticks. Until this villager actually did level up as well. When I woke up this day, I actually wanted another fletching villager, so I broke gravel to get flint so I could make another fletching table. After mining a lot of wood, to craft some sticks, obviously, for emeralds, I now needed an area where I would trade with the villagers, because at the moment I only have the area where they breed. So, after selling all of my sticks into emeralds, it was now time to expand the trading empire. But first, I needed to head back home so I could get loads and loads of building materials to build to this next part of the villaging hole. When I was here, I actually stupidly named my tools. The first thing I named was my pickaxe, which was Miney, but the second thing I named was cold as 10. I named my netherite sword the Silencer, because that's what I'm gonna do to the silence. Yeah! Damn, that was cold. All I did then when I got back was starting to make progress on the villager trading hall itself. Since it was the new day, I now got to make a massive start on our new trading villager hall. I made it out of these deep slate bricks because I thought they looked pretty slick. But as I was building this, I started to realize that this looks more like a dungeon and that I was keeping all these villagers in a dungeon. To be honest, how it should be. As I was building this though, Herobrine was keeping his eye on me. Then I let the villagers be free into this new area, because now I had to kidnap them in a boat and dispose of them into their new rooms, where they're gonna stay for the rest of time. I did this with the first two Fletchers, since now whenever I wanted to trade sticks to emeralds, I knew exactly where these two Fletchers would be. And then the Silence started laughing. Please, no, Mr. Silence, not the children, not the children, anyone but the children. And then he arrived. In a panic, I made sure I ran to my safe house and tried to stay as hidden as possible. And just as I peeked outside the door, he was there, looming over the villagers and the children. I knew I had to just stay inside of the house and wait there until I could fall asleep. After finally falling asleep, the silence was finally gone for now. So this meant I could carry on making progress with our villager trading hall. I finished off the two other rooms, which were going to be for the librarians, and once they were done, I now let a villager into this room to put a boat down so I could kidnap them to trap them in the room. Although the children also escaped, and they were making things a little bit more tedious because they kept jumping in the other rooms to see their parents. Which was strictly banned in my trading hall. You're not allowed to see your parents, kids. Forever, yeah! Now, since I got a villager here, I'd want this guy to be a librarian so I could actually get unbreaking on my tools. I didn't want any of my enchanted gear to break. And after placing down loads of lecterns to try and get the right books, I finally got Unbreaking 3. As I was doing all this, the silence burst out laughing again, taunting me. This also meant that he was probably coming back anytime soon. As I was tilling the farm, he teleported right on me, and I had to dash for my safe house. I am so lucky I was near my safe house because now, hopefully, I was safe. And that's when the silence started talking to me again, as the game was reminding me that I wasn't alone. Now, as I was stuck in this safe house, I kind of wanted to entertain myself. So, I tried to decipher what this guy was saying. The closest thing I probably got to was using a Caesar cipher to try and decipher what this guy was saying, but after trying this, I had no luck whatsoever. So, guys, if you know what any of this means, if you know what the silence is trying to tell me, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to know. The silence made one last laugh, and then he disappeared, and everything just went so silent. So I had a look around me to see what was going on. Then the man from the fog came out of nowhere because he was camping in my basement the entire time. I was so lucky to be alive right now. Not only did we have the silence outside, but the man from the fog was in my basement. At the start of the next day, I made my way home. And the reason why I was home was because I now had Unbreaking 3 books, and I could finally put Unbreaking 3 on my silencer sword. I then went to see my sheep and sheared them all for wool because I would now need a lot more beds because I was finally going for full netherite. And I definitely needed this netherite now if I wanted to kill the cave dweller or any of the other monsters like the silence. So I started cutting down loads and loads and loads of trees and shearing loads and loads and loads of the sheep. Eventually ending up with so many beds that I couldn't even fit them all in my inventory. Lucky for me, I did have a diamond backpack, which was pretty nice. And now it was time to say goodbye to the overworld and hello to the nether and start farming for more netherite. Like last time, I was exploding bed after bed after bed, trying to find as much ancient debris as I possibly could. And after exploding so many beds, I eventually found netherite. And then again, and then even more netherite. And at this point, I was on a lucky streak, exploding bed after bed, and actually finding lots of ancient debris, and probably enough for a full set of netherite armor. I was actually kind of shocked how much netherite I was getting. At one point, all I did was mine into the wall to explode another bed, and there was netherite just there. Now, with all this ancient debris, I realized I could just use the blackstone and deep slate I had in my backpack to create furnaces, so I could actually smelt all of this ancient debris. Now, this is when I came to the realization that I did not have a smithing upgrade template. I would have to go to another bastion if I wanted to upgrade my stuff to netherite. But for now, this didn't matter too much to me because all I wanted to do was find netherite. But at one point, something disastrous happened. I blew up a bed and I fell into some lava. And also at the same time, my shader pack glitched out so my screen went black. All of this adding up actually did kill me, but luckily the totem was there to save my life. Now we were on a mission to get another upgrade template, so the first thing I did in this new bastion was actually craft a golden chest piece. And after smacking this poor guy into the lava, I could go and steal the gold and acquire the upgrade template. Side note, this chest also had a netherite ingot in it too. Not complaining, that is awesome. So, I decided to head to safety, and with my tiny, universally small, tiny brain dum-dum, I was so tired at this point from recording, I thought, yeah, I use the upgrade template, that's what I'm supposed to do, right? I'm supposed to use it. Then I realized, the entire point of me actually being here was to craft more of these templates. How small brain can someone be? No fear though, guys, because the next actual real-life day, I had to set out to find another bastion. And on my way there, I had an encounter with a brand new creature. And definitely the loudest creature as well. This was the Nightmare Stalker, a freakishly tall and lanky monster that will glitch out, stalk me, and chase me until I'm dead. Go, 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 run, 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 run. So I quickly built into the side of the wall where this thing couldn't get me because it was too tall. I did try to attack and kill it, maybe, but I couldn't actually reach its hitbox. The entire time though, my ears were just filled with this horrifying noise. And there's nothing I could have done about this unless I got far enough away from the Nightmare Stalker. Eventually it did go quiet and I thought I'd outran the Nightmare Stalker, but boy was I so wrong. It was so quiet for a moment and I genuinely had thought that I'd outrun it, but as soon as I dug up, the Nightmare Stalker was already on me. I did again try to attack this thing, maybe try and kill it, but I had no luck. It did go quiet again, and I had the courage to just run for my life, until, in the distance, I heard this noise again, getting closer and closer, and I couldn't actually see where the Nightmare Stalker was. But then, something even worse happened. As well as the Nightmare Stalker was here, the silence also joined them. So now I was stuck in the walls of the Nether with the silence just outside waiting for me. Luckily for me, I'd run far enough to find another bastion, and even though the silence might have been nearby, I just decided to mine into the bastion itself. At this point, I thought this situation couldn't get any worse. But then, the shadowy figure from before that haunted me had now returned and was haunting me at the bastion. So at this point, there were 3 creatures: the Nightmare Stalker, the Silence, and the shadowy figure. I did not know what to do. Luckily, this bastion was a little bit quieter than the others, and after searching and searching and searching, I finally found the upgrade template in a random chest. As I finally returned home, I grabbed some XP from the mob grinder, and now it was time to get as many diamonds as I possibly could to make a new set of diamond armor and tools, and to make enough upgrade templates to upgrade all of these to netherite. So this was a big ask. This now meant I had to do lots and lots and lots of strip mining. Down here in the strip mine, I started to hear some scary noises, and at this point, I knew it was the cave dweller. These noises meant nothing, right? And this is where I was wrong. The cave dweller returned once again, and he was coming straight for me. Luckily for me though, this time, I wasn't gonna back down, and I was gonna use the silencer. A wise man once said, never back down, never what? I was gonna take these words to heart. Come at me, cave dweller! It was a tough battle, going back and forth, and at one point I thought this was it, this was the end, video over, but we managed to kill the cave dweller. Yes! Yes! Come on! You eat that, cave dweller! More like dead dweller. I ruined the moment. Gosh, I can't believe it! We killed one of the monsters! This gave me enough confidence to go on and maybe even kill 1 or 2 more of the other monsters of this video. After this fight, I was a bit shook, but I carried on strip mining for more diamonds, safely knowing that the cave dweller had deceased. Now this is another place in the video where I absolutely done goofed, because I came back up to the surface for one reason, and that reason was to get fortune on my miny pickaxe. Now at this moment in time, for some reason, I was under the impression that fortune was actually called looting, so my brain was looking for looting. After going back and forth with one of the villagers, they actually give me mending, and I realized if I wanted mending, I had to keep this guy with mending. So this day was completely wasted, and I hadn't even got looting or fortune. Today I was going to carry on my quest to find fortune, or really looting for the time being. But the silence, he had other ideas. I was just placing down this lectern, trying to get the book I wanted, and then it all went dark and the game told me I wasn't alone. And he decided to show himself again. Straight away I panicked and just built myself into the breeding area in the village. I was down here with the village, but I couldn't actually sleep due to the silence being outside. So it was just me and my villager buddy, cooped up here with the silence outside. He couldn't get to us, so I just pushed forward trying to find the fortune. And me and my buddy down here, we actually got looting, and I was excited. But I didn't realize until like 30 seconds afterwards that I needed fortune. So this was a very rookie mistake. Just as I thought things were over, the silence came again and made things 10 times worse. So I had to just keep digging into the mountainside to try and go far enough where I could actually sleep the silence away. I did eventually get far enough where I could finally sleep the silence away. When I arrived back to the villagers in the morning, I decided to turn the villager breeding area into more of a bunker instead, since this would be safer. Now then, at this point, I needed emeralds to get hold of looting / fortune. So I had to make a brand new diamond axe and get those trees breaking. And I broke so many trees, getting stacks and stacks and stacks of wood to make all of these stacks into even more stacks of sticks so I could sell them all for emeralds. Literally the last second where I bought the looting book, that's when I realized I needed fortune. So I got back into the villager pod and started re-rolling the villager's trade for fortune 3. After re-rolling for some time, I did finally get fortune from this villager, and as I was preparing to get logs for the sticks to sell to emeralds, the silence had returned yet again. How many times have I said that in this video? Probably a lot. No, go away. Run. I instantly jumped into the house that I was on the roof of and blocked myself in to keep me safe from the silence. That's when I dug down and into the mountainside again so I could try and sleep the silence away. Finally, the silence had gone away the next day and I could return to the village. Now, I really needed this fortune again, so I started mining down loads of trees again to turn to sticks, to turn to emeralds. You get the gist of it by now. Not to bore you with the details, but I had to get fortune back because of what the silence had done and glitched the game. So I was back down in the bunker, the silence was outside yet again, stalking me, and I had to get fortune again. The silence would not let me sleep, like at all. And my curiosity got the best of me, so I decided to poke my head out of the bunker to see if the silence was there. And yeah, the silence was there alright, still stalking me. Some would argue at this point I had a little bit too much confidence, and I thought maybe I could take the silence on. But as soon as the silence teleported to me and made this noise... Nah, I was out. I was completely gone. I am not fighting the silence. Not at this point anyway. The next morning, I had finally rolled fortune from the villager, and I finally had enough emeralds to buy it, so I could do that straight away on the spot. I then made my way home so I could put this on my pickaxe straight away. Now that fortune was on my pickaxe, I could head straight back down to the strip mine and start making some cheddar cheese with the diamonds. Now, since I only actually acquired fortune 2 from this villager, I didn't actually have fortune 3. Now, keep that in mind. Every single time I broke a diamond ore, there was a chance for this diamond to drop even more diamonds. So now we were essentially duplicating diamonds. It was now the next day, and I was again strip mining for diamonds when all of a sudden I heard the silence. He decided to jump scare me, and that's when he spawned in right behind me. But this was a strange occurrence because for some reason there were 2 silences. And I don't know what happened here. Why on earth were there 2 silences? Something was very wrong this time. Lucky for me though, I was in a strip mine. The silence actually needs about 4 blocks of space to teleport to, so I was actually okay. I strip mined into this giant cave, and this is where I started finding more diamonds, but the silence wasn't happy with this. He followed me into the cave and made his presence known. It was a bit of a risky move to build up while he was here, but I had to get the safety. Also, Mr. Silence, don't mind me just grabbing these diamonds. When I was up here, I went into third person and I could just about see the silence behind me, also below me. He was down there on the ground, and it's almost as if he couldn't figure out how to actually reach me. Which was a good thing because I was alive. I managed to get into a safe position where I could mine straight back into the wall and start finding diamonds again. Now remember how I only said I had fortune 2? Well, this zombie dropped a backpack, and inside of the backpack there was a tomb for +1 fortune. So I decided to add this onto my pickaxe, and now my pickaxe finally had fortune 3. Using the power of fortune 3, I found diamond after diamond after diamond, and with all of these diamonds, they were duplicating. So at this point, I was rich, and I could finally head back home to make the templates and the new armor and tools. I had finally left the mine, and I was back at my base, rich with all of these diamonds. And I could finally make all of these upgrade templates. But while I was doing all this, I saw someone in the corner of my eye. Herobrine was still watching me. Since my chest piece already had mending on it, I decided this was the first piece of armor that I was going to turn into netherite. Now for the rest of the diamond armor, I made a complete new set, so I could enchant this new set and then turn it into netherite gear. And at this point, I had crafted what I needed, and I had so many diamonds left over, I didn't actually know what to do with them. And of course, with the armor trims I'd acquired throughout this adventure, I decided to use emeralds on my armor to put some green trims on my freshly brand new netherite armor. After doing the rest of the farm, it was now time for the final showdown. I wanted to face the silence and face my fears for the final last time. So the plan was simple. Make a big enough area where I could try and cheese and kill the silence. I would need a door to spawn the silence in, and also enough walls to keep the silence away from me. While I was making this area, the man from the fog had decided to come out and attack me. He hit me once, but luckily I made a dash back to my security door and locked myself in the house. Oh my gosh, that was so close. Can't get me now, Buckarino. And from this point onward, I was safe inside the house, and I waited for the man from the fog to despawn. If I was just in a better enough position with the walls blocked off, I probably could have killed the man from the fog, since he can't actually climb walls. And now it was finally time. Finally, the final showdown between me and the silence. So I placed a door and spam opened it until I summoned him. He's stuck. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, please. That's too much damage, no. When he arrived, he was stuck outside the wall trying to get at me. Luckily, I blocked a few of his attacks, and from this position, I could keep hitting him. Because the silence was doing so much damage to me, this was a long and hard battle. And after going back and forth, the silence just disappeared. And that was it. He was gone. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Huh? Hello? I'm not sure if I killed him, but who knows. This was day 99, and the silence had disappeared. I woke up on the last day, looking at all the progress that we've made throughout this entire video, and I gotta say, I'm kind of proud of it all. And I cannot believe we had done it. Thank you guys so much for watching this entire video, and if you're here right now, comment spooky scary silence man, so I know you watched it all the way to the end. I'll also give you a heart for watching it all the way to the end. Guys, if you want to see more 100-day adventure videos like this, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much to my patrons, you guys were awesome. This movie was really fun to make, I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.